Welcome to our deep dive into a sector that's really kind of revolutionizing the world of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
India's Contract Development and Manufacturing Organization market, or CDMO for short.
Yes, CDMO.
Now, these are the companies that develop and manufacture drugs for other pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
Think of them as like the architects and the builders behind the medicines you see on the shelves.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is just the sheer scale of India's CDMO boom.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, just like incremental growth here.
Right.
This is a market that's projected to nearly triple in size in the
Okay.
next few years, reaching a staggering
Yeah, think about it.
US $44.63 billion by 2029.
Now, a number like that definitely makes you sit up and take notice, but for someone like me who's not exactly a Wall Street guru,
Sure.
what does that kind of growth actually signal?
It tells us that India is rapidly becoming a global force in the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
And it's not just about, churning out generic drugs anymore.
Right.
They're moving towards these cutting-edge therapies, developing and manufacturing some of the most advanced treatments in the world.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. What's driving this explosive growth?
Yeah.
Is it just about lower costs?
Well, cost is certainly a factor. I mean, India offers these pharmaceutical services at prices about 20% lower than their Chinese competitors.
Okay.
But it's much more than that. Think about the disruptions we saw during the pandemic.
Right.
Companies are now wary of relying too heavily on a single country for their drug manufacturing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And geopolitical tensions are adding to that sense of caution,
Yeah.
particularly when it comes to China.
So India is seen as a safer bet, a more reliable partner in the global pharmaceutical supply chain.
Precisely. And they're not just a backup option either.
Right.
India has over 650 U.S. FDA-approved plants.
Wow.
That's a quarter of all such facilities outside the U.S.
That's impressive.
This demonstrates a strong commitment to regulatory compliance, which is crucial for attracting global pharmaceutical companies.
That's a really good point. But you mentioned earlier that India is moving beyond generics.
Yeah.
What are some of the specific areas they're focusing on in this shift towards more advanced therapies?
Well, they're making significant investments in several key areas.
Oh.
For instance, cell and gene therapy.
Okay.
That's projected to grow at an astounding 45% compound annual growth rate, or KGR.
Right, KGR.
That means the market for these revolutionary treatments is essentially doubling in size every couple of years.
Wow.
Cell and gene therapy allows for personalized medicine,
Yeah,
targeting specific genes to potentially cure diseases like cancer.
that's incredible. I remember reading about the early successes with gene editing.
Yeah.
But to think it's becoming a major focus for India's pharmaceutical industry is mind-blowing.
It is, and it's not just cell and gene therapy.
All right.
Antibody drug conjugates,
Okay.
which combine antibodies with potent drugs to specifically target cancer cells,
Right.
are projected to grow at a 25% CAGR. Then there are nucleic acid therapeutics, which include RNA-based treatments, like the ones that were so instrumental in combating COVID-19.
Right.
These are projected to grow at a 36% CAGR.
So India is really positioning itself at the forefront of pharmaceutical innovation, and the global market is taking notice.
Yeah.
But it's not just happening organically, right?
Yeah.
The Indian government is actively playing a role in this boom.
Absolutely. They've implemented several initiatives to incentivize domestic drug production.
Okay.
One of the most impactful is the Production Linked Incentive Scheme, or PLI.
Okay.
It's not just a handout.
Right.
It's a strategic program that offers financial incentives to companies that meet specific production targets and invest in research and development.
That's a smart approach.
Hmm.
It's not just about throwing money at the problem. It's about encouraging sustainable growth and innovation within the industry.
Exactly.
But what kind of impact are these initiatives actually having?
Yeah.
Are we seeing concrete results?
The numbers speak for themselves. Since 2000, the pharmaceutical sector in India has attracted over US $23 billion in foreign direct investment.
Wow.
That's a clear indication that global investors see the potential of this sector and are willing to put their money where their mouth is.
Wow, that's a significant amount of investment.
Hmm.
It sounds like they're creating an ecosystem that's attracting not just capital, but also top talent and cutting-edge technologies.
You're exactly right. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Several major players are making strategic moves to capitalize on this CDMO boom, not just within India, but on a global scale.
So we're not just talking about small startups. We're talking about established companies with global ambitions.
Absolutely. Companies like Origin Pharmaceutical Services, a subsidiary of Dr. Reddy's, are investing heavily in state-of-the-art facilities like their new biologics plant in Hyderabad.
Okay.
It's dedicated to manufacturing complex therapies like therapeutic proteins, antibodies, and even viral vectors, which are used in gene therapy.
That sounds incredibly advanced, and I imagine they're not alone in making these kinds of investments.
Not at all. Aerogen Life Sciences is another major player that's investing US $230.5 million in Telangana,
Okay.
expanding its footprint in drug discovery development, A&E manufacturing.
Wow.
They're essentially covering the entire spectrum of the pharmaceutical pipeline.
So it's a comprehensive approach from the initial research all the way through to large-scale production.
Yeah. Right.
But are all these investments focused on the same types of therapies, or are we seeing a diversification of strategies?
It's a mix of both. Some companies are focusing on specific niches while others are taking a broader approach.
Okay.
For example, Divi's Laboratories is developing a massive 500-acre manufacturing facility that will allow them to produce a wide range of pharmaceuticals on a massive scale. Think of it like a pharmaceutical city capable of supplying medications to the entire world.
That's an incredible image, and it sounds like they're anticipating continued growth in the demand for pharmaceuticals, both in India and globally.
Precisely. And other companies are making more targeted investments focusing on specific types of therapies. Loris Labs, for example, is shifting its focus towards antiretrovirals and intermediates, with the majority of their revenue coming from the US and European markets.
So it's a mix of global ambition and strategic specialization.
Yeah.
But what about companies looking to expand their reach beyond India's borders?
That's another interesting trend. Companies like Jubilant Pharmova are making strategic investments to increase their capacity in key markets like North America.
Okay.
They're pumping US $370 million into boosting their injectable capacity, signaling a clear intention to compete on a global stage.
It's fascinating to see how the CDMO boom is not only transforming India's pharmaceutical industry,
Yeah.
but also influencing global trends in drug development and manufacturing.
It really is, and it raises some important questions.
Yeah.
What are the long-term implications of this shift in the pharmaceutical landscape?
Right.
What are the potential risks and rewards for both India and the rest of the world?
But that's definitely something we'll need to explore further, but for now we'll have to leave you on that cliffhanger. We'll delve into the challenges, opportunities, and potential implications of India's CDMO boom in the next part of this deep dive. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into India's booming CDMO market. We've talked about the remarkable growth, the factors driving it, and the ambitious investments being made. But I'm curious, how is this actually playing out on the ground? What does this transformation look like in real terms?
That's a great question, because it moves us beyond the abstract and into the tangible reality of India's CDMO evolution.
Right.
Picture this, bustling labs equipped with cutting-edge technology, a workforce buzzing with energy and innovation,
Yeah,
and a sense of purpose that's palpable.
I like it.
That's the scene unfolding in key hubs across India.
So it's not just about balance sheets and investment figures.
Right.
There's a real human element to this story.
Absolutely. Take Hyderabad, for example.
Okay.
It's often called India's Genome Valley, and it's living up to that name.
I've heard that, yeah.
There's this rapidly growing cluster of pharmaceutical and biotech companies. Many of them key players in the CDMO space.
Okay.
We're seeing a concentration of talent, resources, and expertise
Yeah.
in these hubs, creating a dynamic ecosystem that fuels further growth.
It sounds like a self-perpetuating cycle,
It is.
with success breeding more success. But are these hubs limited to just Hyderabad, or are we seeing similar growth in other parts of the country?
It's definitely not limited to Hyderabad's.
Okay.
While Hyderabad is a major center, we're seeing similar growth in other regions like Visakhapatnam.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how the landscape is evolving, with companies strategically positioning themselves across the country.
It seems like India is really taking a multi-pronged approach to its CDMO expansion.
Yeah.
It's not just about building new facilities, it's about fostering a nationwide ecosystem that supports innovation. But with all this rapid development,
Sure.
are there concerns about sustainability?
Yeah.
Can India maintain this pace of growth without compromising on environmental and ethical standards?
That's a critical question, and thankfully one that is increasingly being addressed in India. There's a growing recognition that sustainable development is not just the right thing to do, it's essential for long-term economic success.
So it's not a choice between progress and responsibility.
Right.
They can go hand in hand.
Exactly. Companies are realizing that sustainable practices can actually enhance their competitiveness.
Okay. How so?
Well, for one, they attract investors who prioritize ethical and environmentally responsible partners.
Right.
And they appeal to a global consumer base that is increasingly discerning about the products they buy.
That's a really good point. It's encouraging to see that this awareness is growing. But let's bring this back to the listener for a moment.
Sure.
Why should they care about India's CDMO boom?
Yeah.
How does it impact their lives?
This isn't just an abstract economic trend unfolding in a distant land.
Right.
It has the potential to directly impact the listener's life and the lives of people around the world in very tangible ways.
I'm intrigued. How so?
Think about the cost of prescription drugs. As India becomes a major player in drug manufacturing, it could significantly drive down prices.
Okay.
This would make life-saving medications more affordable and accessible to people everywhere,
Right.
especially those who struggle to afford the treatments they need.
That's a huge potential benefit, especially in a world where healthcare costs are constantly rising.
Yeah.
But are there other ways this could impact the listener?
Absolutely, it goes beyond cost.
Okay.
India's focus on innovation
Yeah.
could lead to the development of new and better treatments for a wide range of diseases, from cancer and Alzheimer's to rare genetic disorders.
Wow.
Imagine a world where diseases that are currently incurable become treatable or even preventable.
Yeah.
That's the kind of future India's CDMO boom could help create.
That's a powerful and hopeful vision. But
Yeah.
let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
We've talked about the potential benefits for patients, but what about the opportunities this presents for investors and entrepreneurs?
The growth of India's CDMO sector is creating a ripple effect throughout the entire pharmaceutical industry. Both in India and globally, there's a surge in demand for skilled workers, cutting-edge technologies, and innovative solutions.
Right.
For investors, this presents a chance to be part of a sector that is experiencing exponential growth and has the potential to generate significant returns.
So it's not just about investing in CDMO companies directly,
Right.
but also in businesses that provide supporting services.
You've got to think about logistics, technology, research and development. These are all areas that are booming alongside the CDMO sector for entrepreneurs. This is a landscape ripe with opportunities to develop innovative solutions and build successful businesses that contribute to this rapidly evolving industry.
It's exciting to think about the potential for growth and innovation that this sector is unlocking.
Yeah.
But I imagine there are also challenges that need to be addressed.
Sure.
What are some of the hurdles that India needs to overcome to fully realize its potential as a CDMO powerhouse?
That's a key point. While the momentum is undeniable, there are challenges that need to be addressed.
Like what?
One of the key areas is large molecule biologics production. This is a complex and specialized area of pharmaceutical manufacturing, and India needs to catch up in terms of infrastructure and expertise.
So they need to continue investing in building the capacity and skills to compete in this high-tech segment of the market.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technical aspects.
Right.
Building trust with global partners is crucial.
Okay.
Consistency in quality assurance and regulatory compliance are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
India needs to demonstrate that it can deliver on its promises time and again to solidify its reputation as a reliable and trusted partner in the global pharmaceutical supply chain.
It sounds like maintaining that level of quality and consistency while scaling up production at this pace is no small feat.
You're absolutely right. And there's another challenge that's perhaps even more fundamental.
What's that?
Continuous innovation. India cannot afford to rest on its laurels.
Right.
It needs to keep pushing the boundaries in research and development, fostering a culture of innovation that encourages the development of new and even more effective therapies.
So it's a delicate balancing act.
It is.
They need to scale up production to meet the growing demand while also staying ahead of the curve in terms of innovation and technological advancement.
It is, and that's what makes this story so compelling.
Yeah.
It's not just about economic growth, it's about India's ambition to become a global leader in healthcare innovation and the challenges and opportunities that come with that ambition.
It's a journey that's full of potential pitfalls and extraordinary possibilities.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, India has a track record of overcoming challenges and exceeding expectations.
Indeed, and this brings us to another important question. What are the potential implications of India's success for the rest of the world?
That's a question with far-reaching implications. What are some of the potential scenarios that we should be thinking about as India's role in the pharmaceutical industry continues to evolve?
Well, for one, we could see a shift in power dynamics within the global pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
As India gains ground, traditional pharmaceutical giants may face increased competition, potentially leading to lower prices and greater access to medicines globally.
So it's not just about India winning.
No.
It's about a potential win for patients worldwide.
Exactly. And it could also lead to greater innovation as companies strive to stay ahead of the curve. We could see a wave of new and better treatments emerging from India, benefiting people around the world.
It's almost like a rising tide that lifts all boats.
Uh,
Except in this case, the boats are filled with life-saving medicines.
Precisely, but it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right, of course.
There are also potential downsides that we need to consider.
That's a good point. We need to be realistic about the complexities involved.
Yeah.
What are some of the potential risks or challenges that we should be aware of?
One concern is the potential for job displacement in other countries as pharmaceutical companies shift their manufacturing operations to India. This is a complex issue with social and economic implications that need to be carefully considered.
So it's not a simple equation of India's gain being everyone else's loss.
Yeah. Not at all. It's a much more nuanced picture. The global pharmaceutical industry is interconnected, and any major shift will have ripple effects across the entire system. There will be winners and losers, and it's important to understand the potential impact on all stakeholders.
It's like a giant game of chess, with each move having far-reaching consequences, and we're only beginning to see how this game will play out.
You're absolutely right. And as we move into the final part of this deep dive, we'll explore some of these potential scenarios in more detail and consider the implications for the future of the pharmaceutical industry and global healthcare.
I'm eager to hear more. Stay with us as we continue our exploration of India's CDMO boom in the final part of this deep dive. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into India's booming CDMO market. We've explored the factors driving this remarkable growth, the challenges they face, and the potential impact on global healthcare. What really strikes me is the sheer ambition.
Yeah.
They're not just aiming to be a low-cost manufacturing hub. They want to be leaders in pharmaceutical innovation.
It's true. It's really remarkable. I mean, they're not content to simply follow the playbook.
Right.
They're writing their own.
Yeah.
They're investing heavily in R&D, attracting top talent, and fostering this culture of innovation.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're here to change the game.
It's inspiring to see that kind of bold vision, but with all this focus on growth and expansion, I can't help but wonder about the long-term sustainability. Can they maintain this pace without compromising environmental and ethical standards?
That's a crucial question and one that's being taken increasingly seriously in India. There's a growing awareness that sustainable development is not just about corporate social responsibility.
Right.
It's about smart business.
And they're seeing sustainability as a competitive advantage rather than a burden.
Exactly. Companies are realizing that environmentally and ethically sound practices, they attract investors, they appeal to consumers, and ultimately they enhance their bottom line.
Right.
It's a win-win.
That's encouraging to hear. But let's shift gears for a moment and bring this back to the listener.
Sure.
Why should they care about India's CDMO boom?
Yeah.
How does this impact their lives, their investments, their future?
That's the key question, isn't it? I mean, this isn't just some abstract economic trend happening on the other side of the world. This has the potential to impact your life, in very real ways.
Good example.
Think about the cost of prescription drugs.
Right.
As India becomes a major player in drug manufacturing, it could drive down prices globally, making life-saving medications more affordable and accessible to everyone.
That's a huge deal, especially for those who are struggling to afford the medications they need.
Absolutely. And it's not just about cost.
Right.
India's focus on innovation
Yeah.
could lead to the development of new and better treatments for a wide range of diseases, from cancer to Alzheimer's to rare genetic disorders.
Right.
This could translate into longer, healthier lives for millions of people around the world.
So it's not just about economic growth. It's about improving global health and well-being.
Precisely. And it's not just about patients.
Right.
This boom also presents incredible opportunities for investors and entrepreneurs.
Now you're speaking my language. Tell me more about these opportunities.
The growth of India's CDMO sector is creating this ripple effect throughout the entire pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
There's a growing demand for skilled workers, cutting-edge technologies, and innovative solutions. for investors, this translates into a chance to kind of get in on the ground floor
Yeah.
of a rapidly growing sector with immense potential.
So there are opportunities to invest directly in CDMO companies, but also in businesses that support the industry.
Exactly. Think about logistics, technology, research and development. These are all areas that are booming alongside the CDMO sector for entrepreneurs. This is a landscape that's ripe for innovation,
Okay.
offering a chance to create new solutions and build successful businesses.
It sounds like India's CDMO boom is a rising tide that could lift many boats, both in India and around the world.
It really is. But, as with any major economic shift,
Right.
there are potential downsides to consider.
That's important to acknowledge. What are some of those potential downsides?
Well, one concern is, the potential for job displacement in other countries as pharmaceutical companies shift manufacturing operations to India. This is a complex issue with social and economic implications that can't be ignored.
So while India's gain could be a win for global health, there are potential trade-offs that need to be considered.
Absolutely. It's not a simple equation. The global pharmaceutical industry is interconnected, and any major shift will have ripple effects throughout the entire system. There will be winners and losers, and it's important to understand the potential impact on all stakeholders.
It's a reminder that even positive developments can have unintended consequences. But it's through open and honest conversations like this that we can better understand the complexities and navigate these challenges effectively.
I completely agree. It's about having a balanced perspective and making informed decisions that benefit both individual nations and the global community as a whole.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of both excitement and cautious optimism. India's CDMO boom has the potential to revolutionize the pharmaceutical industry and improve access to life-saving medicines for millions of people. But it's important to be mindful of the potential challenges and to work collaboratively to ensure that this growth is sustainable and benefits everyone. What final thought would you leave our listeners with?
I'd say this: pay attention to India.
Yeah.
This is a country that's on the move, and its influence on the global stage is only going to grow whether you're an investor, an entrepreneur, or simply someone who cares about the future of healthcare. India's CDMO boom is a story you need to be following. It's a story that's still unfolding, and it has the potential to change the world as we know it.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into India's CDMO market. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep questioning.